Hi everyone, today on ArtTalk, Dr. Andrew Shaw-Shotzi is going to take us through the 3 Ps to avoid.
Thank you, Madison. If you recall, or maybe saw my previous Art Talk, was on what I call the 5 Ps, things to aspire to help us, to be patient, to persist, to find pleasure, to find pride, and that it really comes down to your perception that you need to trust. In sharing these with my massage therapist, Ashley, she said, what about getting pissed? And it made me think of P's to avoid. So I'm going to talk about those today. And the first is getting pissed. It's natural to get frustrated, angry at ourselves when things aren't going the way we want them to go. But to really be mindful of when we get pissed at ourselves, pissed at this process that isn't working properly, we're going to get tighter. We're not going to have the same energy and the same joy and pleasure. So to really be mindful of that. Another P to avoid is pressure. There's pressure to succeed, the pressure to have my painting look like I want it to look quickly. Applying pressure to ourselves is usually very unhelpful. We want to try to be looser. It's kind of the opposite of being patient, is that pressured feeling. So another thing to avoid. And finally, I think, which is the most powerful one to avoid, and the one that's most difficult for many of us, is perfectionism. I have talked about this in previous talks, and it's the belief that our painting will only be good if it's perfect, if it's exactly as I want it to be, if it looks exactly like my subject matter. That perfectionistic mindset is very disabling. It's very inhibiting. It doesn't help us do better. It actually puts pressure on us, and it's harder to reach our own potential with that perfectionistic mindset. So try not to get pissed at yourself, try to put pressure on yourself, and avoid the traps of perfectionism. I think you will have a better time with your art, and I think you'll end up with a better product in the end.
That's great. Thank you so much for taking us through the 3 Ps to avoid. And if you haven't already, look at our last video on the 5 Ps to aspire. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week for a new variable.